We have these tools to assist in our decision making, but in the end, I feel it all comes down to common sense. I have come to my decision based on what would address the concerns so consistently voiced by the residents of Central Saanich. We have a rocky hill with a fragile and rare ecosystem we want to protect. This hill is right next to a residential area. This hill is not an ALR and is not usable for farming. We have a highly productive farm which we wish to retain and sustain for food security. So if by putting 57 homes on the hill, we guarantee protection of that ecosystem, gain consolidation of a large parcel of farmland, and enable one of the largest, most productive farms in the CRD to continue doing what they do so well, why wouldn't we? Regarding the ecosystem, presently, yes, the Gary Oaks and Old Grove trees are protected, but the fragile ecosystem around them is not. Mr. Vantreight can do whatever he wants up there, and there is no guarantee whatsoever to protect this environment. With this proposal, we will see this ecosystem protected, and with the input from our planning department, well planned out and expanded to native plantings on the individual lots. Regarding saving our farmland and food security, by supporting this application, we are enabling one of the largest, highest producing farms in the CRD to continue growing and selling food locally while protecting a large piece of agricultural land with the consolidation. By supporting this application, we enable a young, innovative farmer and his family to continue farming in a time when it is difficult to attract and maintain young farmers. Isn't that what we all want? We are currently working on our agricultural area plan and hope that we will have some good strategies recommended to us regarding farm trust, subsidies, education, water management, organic resource streams, boundaries, product marketing to create a sustainable environment for farms and farmers in Central Saanich. But today we're dealing with the Vantreight application. And so I will be supporting the rezoning because I do care about farming and our farmers.
Okay. Just at a quick note, I feel statistics, we represent the citizens of our community. We're to make decisions for all, not just the 70 that spoke that night, but all of the residents of our community, and I think that that's important. I'd also like to point out in my mind, when was the last time that we discounted listening to the family and the employees truly affected by the decisions that we make tonight, one way or the other? I think if anything, it's paramount that we listen to them, those that are most affected by our decisions, not just the other people that were speaking, but all of the people that were speaking. So with that, Councillor Olson, you want to add something?
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chair. I just would like to respond to a few of the things that have been said here in this debate. And I'd just like to point out there is a reason why councillors leave on a conflict of interest, and I think that it's because once you get so close to a certain situation that you remove yourself from it, and that is the reason why I suggested, partly the reason why I suggested that you could, if you chose to, remove family and employees, depending on how you decided to look at the numbers. I would also like to suggest that the leap of faith, I guess, that I made was when we were moving it forward and the arguments that were being put forward at first and second reading that we needed to go to a public hearing. What the leap of faith that I made was that we were going to take those numbers seriously. Apparently not, because it didn't matter. We've started to now take into account the people who didn't show up. I guess that's the silent majority. Unfortunately, our process our process is one of representation, and people were offered the opportunity to represent themselves, and a certain large percentage of our population decided not to. And our job was to, and in fact, it was mentioned around the table that we were going to listen to what the community has said. And those numbers weren't, the numbers that I gave, the statistics were not crunched inappropriately. I think they are a fair representation. I'll be happy to provide the matrix that I provided, and I don't think that they should be minimized at all. One of the things that I worry about is this idea of a guarantee. I'm not sure that there is a guarantee. I think that the only guarantee that we're making is a commitment to this farm, and that there was also a guarantee that the trees in other RD5 zones that were granted were going to stay. Those didn't stay, and I really have a difficulty with destroying the majority of the habitat to save a percentage of it. I really am not sure if we can destroy a habitat and then build a green community on top of it and be proud of the green community that we built. So I still do have some significant issues with this, and despite what I've heard tonight, I will be still voting against this application moving forward. Thank you.
Thank you. Now I'm going to call questions. Sorry, questions from both. Councilor Bryson?
Thank you. There's just a couple of comments from colleagues on council I'd like to address. First is the council certainly can make decisions that are contrary to the recommendations of our staff in many situations. We do that where we perceive that the political decision is perhaps different from the staff's recommendation, and those are in areas where there is political discretion, where we as the decision makers for our community are empowered to make the decision that we perceive to be in the political will. However, this to provide redirection on a comment that was made, that this is a similar matter. This is not a similar matter where we have the discretion to agree to disagree with our staff. We can disagree with our staff, however, we have to be correct in the eyes of the law. And that was why I made the comment that in order for this bylaw to be upheld, if it is challenged, it will require a justice to make a decision that our staff have been incorrect in their professional judgment. That's a significant suggestion for council to be making in this position. Secondly, any costs associated with defending the bylaw, should it be challenged, will be at the taxpayer's expense. And also, with respect to the frequent remarks around this land being an unfarmable rock, I think that's a very interesting philosophy that we have to embrace development to protect the ecosystem. This is an interesting philosophy, and I think it would be a challenging sell in the Highlands of Scotland to go to the Highlands of Scotland and suggest that in order to protect the moorland in Scotland, which has sustained thousands of years of civilization, habitation based on cropping and agriculture, that we would have to build houses on it in order to protect that ecosystem. I think that would be a challenging argument. So, based on that experience and the awareness that we can delineate settlement areas and still have balance in our community, I think that is a false argument and a false premise.
Thank you. Any questions being called? All in favor? Opposed? Motion is carried.
Staff on the presentation. The report.
Mr. Chairman, now that you've dealt with the next step in the bylaw process, we would ask you to turn your attention to the recommendations